Have you ever wanted to be alone and actually enjoyed it, but wondered what would happen if you were forced to stay alone for a very long time? Not quiet time by choice, not a peaceful break, but isolation you cannot escape. Most people think being alone and being isolated are the same thing. They are not. One can be healing. The other can slowly damage the mind. Let's walk through what really happens to a human being when isolation is forced, extended, and unavoidable, and why the effects can go far deeper than most people expect. Spending time alone by choice can be healthy. It can lower stress, help you think clearly, and give your emotions space to settle. Many people feel refreshed after intentional solitude. It's like letting your mental muscles relax, but forced isolation is different. It removes choice, and when choice disappears, the brain reacts very differently. What begins as silence can slowly turn into psychological pressure. When a person is confined to one space for long periods, days, weeks, months, or even years, without meaningful activity or human contact, the body and mind start to change. These changes do not always appear immediately, but over time, they build. Early on, the body releases more stress chemicals. You can think of these as internal alarm signals. They are useful in short bursts, like when you need to escape danger, but harmful when they stay active too long. Instead of helping, they begin to wear the system down. Here's something many people don't realize. Regular human interaction helps stabilize our sense of reality. Talking to others gives us feedback. It helps us check whether our thoughts make sense. It keeps our perceptions balanced. Psychologists sometimes call this a kind of reality mirror. Other people reflect our thinking back to us. Without that mirror, the mind starts talking only to itself. And when thoughts have no outside correction, they can begin to drift. At first, this might feel like overthinking, then rumination, repeating the same worries again and again. After that, thinking patterns can grow darker or more extreme. Some people develop deep sadness, some develop obsessive thoughts, some experience strong, hopeless feelings. In severe cases, people may begin to suspect things that are not true or see and hear things that are not there. Imagine being locked in a room with only your own thoughts as company. No conversation, no shared laughter, no outside perspective, just your inner voice on repeat. For many minds, that becomes overwhelming, and this is not only emotional, it is biological. Inside the brain, different systems handle emotion and reasoning. Under prolonged isolation stress, the emotional alarm center becomes extra sensitive. It reacts faster and stronger. Fear signals grow louder. At the same time, the reasoning and judgment center, the part that helps you plan, control impulses, and think logically, becomes less active and less efficient. In simple terms, emotion steps on the gas pedal while logic loses its grip on the wheel. This shift makes reactions more intense. Small triggers feel big, frustrations feel unbearable, anger rises quickly, anxiety becomes frequent, clear thinking becomes harder. And the longer isolation continues, the more this pattern becomes the brain's new habit. But the effects are not only mental, the body also keeps score. People in long isolation often lose their sense of time. Days blur together. Without social schedules and environmental variety, the brain struggles to track hours and dates. Sleep becomes irregular. Some people sleep too little, others sleep too much. Neither feels restful. Physical symptoms also appear. Headaches, dizziness, heart pounding without clear cause, increased sensitivity to sound or light. Even normal noise can feel overwhelming after extended quiet. Appetite often changes too. Stress can disrupt digestion. Some people lose hunger, others feel nausea. Weight loss is common. So if isolation is so harmful, can anything reduce the damage? Structure helps, but only to a point. Creating a daily routine gives the mind anchors. Exercise supports mood chemicals. Reading and writing keep thinking active. Learning tasks give the brain something to hold on to. These habits act like mental scaffolding, temporary support beams, but they cannot replace human connection. Humans are social by design. Connection is not a luxury feature. It is a core requirement. Because of these severe effects, many international experts and human rights groups classify prolonged forced isolation as a form of psychological torture, not discomfort, torture. And yet, it is still widely used in prison systems around the world. You may have heard the term solitary confinement. It is also called restrictive housing. It means keeping a prisoner alone in a small cell for most hours of the day with little or no meaningful contact. Now, pause and imagine this. Spending between 22 and 24 hours each day inside a small room, often without windows, for weeks or months at a time. In one recent year, more than 120,000 prisoners in the United States were living under these conditions. conditions. Many cells are roughly the size of a small bathroom, about 6 by 9 feet. That is smaller than many home closets. Here's the surprising part. Solitary confinement was not originally created as punishment. When it was introduced in the late 1700s by Quaker reform groups, the goal was reflection and moral correction. They believed silence and solitude would encourage people to rethink their actions and change. That belief did not hold up. Very quickly, observers noticed severe psychological harm. Critics spoke out strongly. Even famous writers condemned the practice, describing it as more damaging than physical pain. Use of isolation decreased for a time, but returned decades later when prison populations grew rapidly under stricter crime policies. As facilities became crowded and tensions rose, authorities turned again to isolation as a control tool, and it has not only been used for violent behavior. Some prisoners have been placed in solitary for minor rule violations, even small acts of disrespect or talking back. This is especially dangerous because many prisoners already struggle with mental health conditions. Isolation often makes those conditions worse, not better, and the effects do not always end when isolation ends. People who experience long solitary confinement are about 3 times more likely to show signs of post-traumatic stress. That means ongoing fear reactions, emotional numbness, and intrusive memories. Many report personality changes, increased suspicion, social withdrawal, difficulty trusting others. Ordinary situations feel threatening. Concentration becomes difficult. Forming relationships feels harder. It is like the nervous system stays stuck in survival mode, and even after the door opens, some regions have created rules to limit isolation use, especially for people with serious mental illness, for children, or for pregnant women. Some places set maximum limits such as 15 or 20 days, but rules are not always followed consistently. Exceptions and loopholes sometimes allow isolation to continue longer than intended. Another important question is this: does solitary confinement even achieve its goal of reducing violence? Research suggests it does not. It often increases psychological instability instead of improving behavior. It works against rehabilitation rather than supporting it. Meanwhile, some countries use very different prison models focused on rehabilitation instead of harsh control. For example, Norway imprisons fewer people compared to population size and invests far more resources per prisoner into living conditions, education, and work programs. Their system focuses on preparing people to return to society successfully. Their repeat offense rates are among the lowest in the world, which suggests something powerful and simple. People tend to improve more through connection and support than through isolation and deprivation. So here's the deeper takeaway. The human brain is built for interaction. Conversation is not just social, it is stabilizing. Shared experience is not optional, it is regulating. Connection is not weakness, it is wiring. Solitude by choice can restore you. Isolation without choice can unravel you, and understanding that difference may change how you see loneliness, punishment, and even your own need for human contact. Because in the end, the mind does not stay healthy in silence alone. It stays healthy in relationship.